Nagasaki has been one of the important port cities in Japan since hundreds of years ago. It is said that the Edo era trade and cultural exchange with other countries, especially Netherlands and Portugal, were very active and influenced the forming of a kind of mixed culture in Nagasaki. Its unique culture, beautiful nature, and history of the atomic bomb dropping have worked as an incentive for the people to come to Nagasaki. From small ones to large ones, a lot of ships arrive there every day from all over the world. Dejima, a fan-shaped island where government controlled international trade with the Dutch and the Portuguese since the Edo period. As a result of this special trading area, in addition to Chinese culture, a great deal of European cultures were imported to Nagasaki in terms of architecture, words, foods, and religion. The influence of Christianity was very huge at this time, and many Japanese Christians came into existence in Japan. Then, many churches were built for them by missionaries or Christians themselves. However, the life of Japanese Christians at this area was unexceptionably the hardest and most tragic because of cruel persecution by the new government. This building is the Nagasaki Pilgrimage Center, located next to Nagasaki Station, and provides information and brochures about all pilgrimage sites for pilgrims. They encourage people to visit these sites in order for them to be aware of how important a peaceful world without war and any persecution is. They also give people an opportunity to join the pilgrimage guide tour. Inside the building, several brochures about pilgrimage are simply put on a shelf and people can take them for free. Unfortunately, it is closed on Saturdays and Sundays, so visitors should come on weekdays during 9:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. and then they can buy a special leaflet for collecting stamps or some information guides. Because all of the pilgrimage sites are scattered throughout Nagasaki, it is impossible to visit all places within a couple of days, so I went to 5 of the most famous sites in Nagasaki City. Driving for about 10 minutes from JR Nagasaki Station, visitors can arrive at Ora Cathedral, one of national treasures in Japan, built in 1865. 3 missionaries from Paris worked to construct it, so this cathedral is called French Temple by the local people. This is also famous for the discovery of hidden Christians, which is the event that for about 300 years, several Japanese who seemed to just visit the church were actually hidden Christians who had secretly believed in Christ and talked with priests about their faith. That was big news for missionaries and caused other hidden Christians to profess their faith in Japan. Beside the road, there are some shops selling typical souvenirs, foods, and postcards of this church, and is always relatively crowded by pilgrims, tourists, and students for school trips in specific seasons. On the way to climbing the stairs to the church, people can see some monuments. One of them is a monument to the discovery of the hidden Christians, and the priest in the center of the monument is Father Batijuan. His contribution for Japanese Christians was very huge, and he actually founded a seminary for the purpose of training Japanese men for the Catholic priesthood. And the bust of Pope John Paul II was put next to Father Batijuan's statue. His arrival to Nagasaki may have been a miracle for Christians, so in other pilgrimage sites we can also see his statue. Climbing a bit more, there is the entrance to the church. As many sites are, people are required to be quiet and not take any photos or videos. In front of the entrance there is a statue of Mary brought from France in 1866 by poor Japanese Christians, donation in commemoration of the discovery of the Christians. Inside the church we don't find so many splendid Christian arts like in the St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, though the clear atmosphere makes it look beautiful and holy. Sometimes Mass is held in it and Christians come to join. Next to the church, there is a former Latin seminary. At present, the first floor consists of reference rooms exhibiting materials such as religious articles hidden during the anti-Christian age, replicas of medals used for ebumi, and Mary Kannon, a sculpture that hidden Christians worship in order to pretend to be believing in Buddhism. Driving about 15 minutes from Ora Church, we can see Urakami Cathedral on the low hill. Urakami is one of the places that many hidden Christians existed, and in 1873, after achieving freedom of faith, Christians began to plan the construction, and finally in 1914 it was built. Just like the Ora Church, this was also devastated by the atomic bomb, and rebuilding was completed in 1959. Its scars still remain around the site. Climbing a shallow slope, the church and Geta appear. In this building, some relics from the bomb devastation are exhibited, and they are also put in a row from place to place. There were not any tour groups, but some individuals from other countries took pictures and walked around. In addition to these relics, people can find some memorials or monuments related to hidden Christians' history. And 150th anniversary relief of the discovery of the hidden Christians was built in 2015. Even after many Christian groups emerged in Japan, they suffered from harsh repression against them in this land. We can see from these monuments, or floral tribute, how people were hurt from this fact. Why did they have to be persecuted for their faith? Why was it evil to live by faith? Why were they able to stick to their beliefs against persecution for hundreds of years? We will see how much power religion has had on the people in this site. Inside the church, we can't go near the altar unless we are joining Mass on Sunday or Saturday, but we are allowed to take a view of it from the back. The church is also famous for this Mary, miraculously found in the rubbles. Near Urakami Cathedral, there is the house of the Archbishop because Urakami Cathedral is the cathedral of the Nagasaki Archdiocese. Replacing Ora Church, former house of Archbishop can be seen next to Ora Church. When learning about the history of Japanese Christianity, or even of world Catholic Christianity, you shouldn't miss these sites. This place is called Nishizaka Hill Park, located 5 minutes on foot from JR Nagasaki Station, and where the first Christians, now called the 26 Saints of Japan, were martyred in 1597. It includes 6 missionaries from Spain, Mexico, and Portugal, and 3 children of ages 12 to 14. On the 100th anniversary of the canonization of the 26 martyrs in Rome, these bronze figures and an accompanying museum were built, and this park was designed as an official Catholic pilgrimage site in 1950 by the Pope. These 26 Christians were caught by Toyotomi Hideyoshi on December and were forced to walk on foot from Kyoto to this place. It took 850 kilometers in more than 2 months. It is said that on the way to Nagasaki, the youngest one asked to be caught, and the other children were told to forsake their faith in order to not be martyred, but they refused. Behind the bronze sculpture is the art representing the 26 martyrs' journey to this place and the 26 Martyrs Museum. Near the entrance of the museum, there is a figure of a Filipino martyr named Saint Lorenzo Ruiz, and is one of the 16 martyrs in Japan, and said to be the first Filipino to come to Japan. In the museum, taking photos is also prohibited, but there is numerous information on the history and materials. For example, contents of the speech by Pope John Paul II when he came, the letter of one of the 26 martyrs to his mother, paintings of their martyrdom, and martyrs' relics. Some represent their hidden faith, such as the guards of their sword, which use cross designs, as well as Maria Cannon sculptures or dolls made of clay. Some of these sculptures or dolls were created for Buddhism at first, but eventually used for the hidden Christians as worship of their faith. The last place I will introduce is Nakamachi Church near the 26 Martyrs Museum. The church was built in 1897 for the Japanese Christians and was dedicated to the Japanese bishop St. Thomas Nishi and his 15 companions, including St. Lorenzo Ruiz, as mentioned before, as well as 2 Japanese women. Guessing from the look of it, this church is much more local than the other 2 churches, and Mass is held every day, and there are some Bibles and stuff on the shelf inside the church. The nuns were very kind to us, though no other visitors were seen at that time. Here are the statues of the 16 martyrs in the garden to the side of the church, and they were built in 2015 in commemoration of 150 years since the discovery of the hidden Christians. They were all sainted in 1987 in Rome for the first time in 125 years since the time of the first 26 martyrs. According to the Nagasaki Pilgrimage Guide, there are currently over 130 Catholic churches in Nagasaki, and each of these churches recounts to us a local history of Christian faith. Actually, on other islands in Nagasaki, there are several traditional settlements of hidden Christians, and they had built their own churches there since the anti-Christian era. Even if their churches may not be splendid and more humble than Western churches, once learning about the history of their fierce struggle against oppression, we can be sure their faith was unquestionably genuine, and they had pride of being a Christian and shared the joy of it with each other. Nagasaki Pilgrimage makes us recognize how individuals can devote their life to what cannot be seen, and how much their belief in it drives one's life in various ways.
レリーフの前にひざまずき、遠き昔の勇気ある聖職者と信者たちの受難の歴史に思いを馳せながら、両手で顔を覆って黙想し。